Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo, and today we're diving into news and week in review, although today it's actually fairly low on the news side. We're going to have a giveaway winner, so we will have that because we hit 49,500 subscribers. I've been doing a giveaway every 500 subscribers until we hit 50,000. That means there's one more to go. One more after this, just one more. But we're going to go ahead and do the giveaway winner, then we'll talk about the brief what I played, short notes in some games I played, and then the review of the videos of the week. No news this week, sorry about that. Nothing, there was like a little thing. I over at Orski, the channel Orski, had a compilation of the #1 games from a bunch of YouTubers, a whole bunch of YouTubers, and if you're like, well, didn't something like that happen a few weeks ago? Yes, but the Dragon's Tomb was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek parody for those who don't know, and Orski's decided to, like, you know, what if we actually did that? And so he actually did that. It's actually pretty cool. I'll link to that down below. I'll link to that video. But past that, no real news in week in review, which means we are going to dive into the giveaway. Crud. I forgot to pick the giveaway winner. Give me a second while I go find the giveaway winner. Okay, we're back. The winner, I just picked the winner. Sorry about that. I forgot to actually grab a winner. The winner is ZMK. That's it, just ZMK, those 3 letters, ZMK. If you're watching this and you're ZMK, please email me at alex@boardgameco.com. Please do not comment to anyone else in the comments who wants you to send you money on Instagram or Telegram or any of those things. If it's a comment and reply, make sure it's actually my channel. But more importantly, check in with alex@boardgameco.com if you are the user with the letters ZMK as your username. But with that, that's going to be the giveaway. And by the way, the 2 games that are left, in case you're wondering, the 2 games that are left currently are Escape Plan and The Gallerist. I believe Escape Plan and The Gallerist. I have to double check. I think Escape Plan and The Gallerist are the 2 that are left. Lisboa was the last one that was just taken, which leaves Escape Plan, and The Gallerist as the 2 remaining ones left. I'm pretty sure. I have to check my shelf, but I think those are the 2 that are left. In any case, let's go ahead and dive into the complete lack of news. So we're going to dive into the what I played, starting off with, I actually have 4 games this week. I guess we did a 4th game instead of a 3rd game just to compensate for the lack of news this week. But we have a few games that I want to talk about briefly. In general, I try to avoid games that I'll have an upcoming review, although one of these I will. But I try to just diversify the conversation to a degree. If you're anyways going to see a full video or review, if you choose to watch it, I'm not going to spend, you know, another 30 seconds telling you what I think about the game. But to that end, we have Glenmore as the first one. I think Glenmore is leaving my collection, which I say very sadly because I have the expansion for it and I want to play it and I have the modules for it and I want to play it. But I got a chance to table Glenmore this week and I had a chance to table it again without the modules. I find it's a game that's really, really good. I like Glenmore. I enjoy it, but I'm bored of the base game. The base game on its own, I've played it enough times. I've played Glenmore like, I don't know, 10, 15 times, which granted is not a ton, but it is a lot. And I think the base game as is, it doesn't keep me that interested in continuing to do the same kind of engine. It's a good puzzle. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the mechanism of being the furthest behind the track and trying to optimize around taking tiles. I do find the idea of your area being penalized by 3 points a tile for having too large of an area is semi-compelling. The problem is the math usually supports anyways just taking more tiles. You can usually earn more than 3 points per tile, which means it's usually not as of a question of how tight are you going to go. It's really just going to go as big as you can and do what you want to do. The game has like 8 modules in it, and the expansion has a whole bunch of more things and ways to augment the game. The problem is, I want to try those. I like the game enough, and I really enjoy Glenmore, but every single time I play it, it's almost always with new people because I find people in my group don't ask for it again. It's good. It's very good. It's a solid 4 to 5. I like it. I mean, I've played the game a lot. But it's not a 4.5 out of 5. And I keep holding on to it. For like 3 years now, I've held on to it, hoping to dive into the modules, hoping to be able to see and explore more of the game. And I don't see that happening, unfortunately, at this point. I played it again this week, was reminded that the base game, as good as it is, isn't the thing that's holding my attention quite as much. And I think because of that, I'm going to give up on whether it's actually going to be played with all the modules and the expansions and all that. And I think I'm just going to move on. I think it's going to be my next Games Leaving the Collection video, as much as I don't want it to be. Sad times ahead. From there we have Catan. I managed to play Catan this week and was reminded both why it's such a good game that I kind of want to track down the expansion with the Cities and Knights collection and Seafarers and all that, and also why I don't enjoy Catan in its main base game format. I was playing Catan and I had a city on 2 10s, okay? Wood and clay 2 10s. 10s aren't rolled that much, right? But they are rolled. Not in this game they weren't rolled. In the entire game, I believe the 10s were rolled once in the very, very last rounds of the game. Like, someone else had 7 points before we rolled a 10 in the game. So my entire principle, I sat there and I was like, I'm going to build up, I'm going to build up a very strong ore and grain foundation. And I'm also going to have another place on, the wood and the brick. And I was only ever able to get wood and grain. So I quickly got 2 cities. I was quickly competitive with the other players, lining up. Everything's great. And then I just didn't roll a 10 the entire game the rest of the way through. And so my entire plan fell apart. I was never able really to expand. I think I ended the game with 5 points. I got to get to 4, like on par with everyone else, and then they all climbed ahead and I got to whatever. I love Catan, don't get me wrong. I think it's accessible and a lot of fun, but also those things happen in the game, and it irritates me the fact that you have so little agency over the game once those main basic starting decisions are made. You have agency, you do, but less so. And Cities and Knights really enhances that agency, and I like Cities and Knights a lot, and I still want to get Catan with Cities and Knights. Kind of like, I want to have it in my collection, but I know it won't be pulled off the shelf and prioritized. But I do very much enjoy Catan, and I both got a chance to see why I enjoy it and why I don't own it in this past week. On the other hand, I also had a chance to play Five Tribes. Five Tribes is an older one. Five Tribes is one that I have not played that in a while. It's a game I play infrequently, but when I do play it, I'm reminded why I don't let that one go. We have a Catan, an older game I'm letting go. We have Glenmore, an older game I'm letting go. We have Five Tribes, an older game that I am going to keep holding on to. I played it online on TTS to try out, the TTS implementation of Five Tribes, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoy it more in person, and I enjoy it more with the expansions. The TTS implementation does have the expansions, but I really enjoy Five Tribes. It's a simple game. Bruno Cathala, Days of Wonder, you're Culling the various meeples around the board, just moving the meeples around, getting various bonuses based on the color of the meeple and the action tile you end on, and it's such a compelling little puzzle, and I really, really enjoy it. I think it's fantastic, and there's a reason it holds up for me. There's a reason I constantly want to pull it out and play it, even though I don't constantly pull it out and play it, but whenever I do, I'm reminded why it doesn't leave. Over the years, I've frequently looked at Five Tribes as, should that leave? But I never move it off the shelf. I never sit there and actually decide that it's time to go. I always hold on to it because it's just a good game. So yeah, Five Tribes, fantastic game, highly recommend it. It's not the easiest to pick up nowadays. I think it's out of print and just hard to get, but if you can find a copy, I think Five Tribes really holds up as a compelling, beautiful, well-produced, and well-designed Euro game that's accessible and rewarding. A little AP prone, it could be a little analysis paralysis prone as you go through it, but overall a very good experience. And then lastly, we have Into the God's Grave. Into the God's Grave is one that I will have a full first impressions on. Not a full review, a first impressions, because it's a scenario-based campaign game from Lucky Duck Games, app-driven as well, cooperative app-driven, and I only got to play one scenario, that's all they had, so I'm not going to call it a review after one scenario. I will say two things are true, though. You can watch my full review of it, but the very short note is, it has strong notes and flavors of Destinies. Feels very, very familiar to those of you who have played Destinies, but it's fully cooperative, which I drastically prefer over the Destiny system, which was a competitive game that had a lot of skill checks, a lot of dice rolling, and app-driven, and so I love Destinies. I think Destinies is great, but I think that Into the God's Grave is probably better for me, which is a weird conversation. I think Destinies is one of the few ratings that Destinies, my hype around Destinies definitely is one that went down. I still enjoy Destiny, I still think it's amazing, but I gave it a 5 out of 5, and I don't think it doesn't get a 5 out of 5 anymore. I already updated my review, and I think the initial hype was definitely there. Most of the time when I'm excited about things, I stay excited, years later. If you want to ask me my other 5 out of 5s, they haven't changed. Aquatica, amazing. Mosaic, amazing. The Loop, amazing. There's so many. Primal, still excited about it. There's so many games that hold up. I think Destinies, I definitely have had a degree of shifting hype for it. And Into the God's Grave I like more, but I'm wary. I'm wary about it because, and you'll see this in the review as well, it's not that I don't like Into the God's Grave, and I wouldn't give it a 5 out of 5. I think I'd give it a strong 4 out of 4, but I think it's still higher than Destiny's for me. To me, Destiny's sunk to like a low 4, and Into the God's Grave is a slightly higher 4. Not a 4.5 even, but probably a 4. Instinctively, I don't rate it in the video. But again, I'm nervous about that, because what if that dies? What if the app-driven game doesn't hold my attention as much because it's app-driven? I recently just started playing Descent, Legends of the Dark, or Journeys in the Dark, whatever the new app-driven one is, and I'll have more thoughts on that as I continue to play through it, but I have the kind of same vibes. Both Into the God's Grave and Descent were both incredibly compelling after a single scenario. But will that hold up, or will I get bored of playing on my computer as I usually do when it's computer-driven? I find that it's something about it doesn't pull me in quite as much. So right now, my initial thoughts and feelings Into the God's Grave, very positive, highly recommended. I think it's a great experience. But am I confident in that? No, I need to play it more, hence the first impressions conversation. Anyways, that's what I have for what I played. No real update on the 12x12, nothing, no strong movement forward. We are heading into June shortly, so I should probably finish seeing where I am up to on some of these games. I've made good progress on some of the 12x12. I've gotten through a bunch of my 12x12 reviews. I've done Lost Ruins of Arnak. I've not done Castle Burgundy. I need to do Castle Burgundy. I've done Seven Wonders Duel, which may not have gone up yet, but I've done a review for that one. I've done, Feast for Odin, and I'll have more coming. I will have more coming your way as far as these go, but some of them still need to drop more finishing off. A DEI I want to do, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll have my 12x12 stuff. Again, I'm making good progress, but not great progress. I still need more things to get covered. Oh, I've done Sprawlopolis. I did a Sprawlopolis 12x12. They don't know if that officially counts towards my own personal 12x12, which needed games that are longer than half an hour, but we'll see. I'm working on my Cascadia one. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, speaking of Cascadia, there's a reason it's on the table here. Anyways, with that, let's go ahead and talk about the videos of the week. Videos of the week. These are the videos we had this past week. Quick recaps of all of them, starting off with this past Saturday where I reviewed Momiji and gave it a 3 out of 5. It was fine. It was a totally okay game. I enjoyed the set collection of it. But again, 3 out of 5. I both enjoyed my time with it, and also I'm losing no sleep that I'll never play it again. It's fine. It's totally fine, and I enjoyed it. It just didn't stand out in a very crowded space. Later on Saturday, we had a review for the Hunter's AD First Impressions on this one. I like the Hunter's AD. I gave it a 3 out of 5 as well, and that's biased because of how much work goes behind it. I think the Hunter's AD is very good and very promising in many elements, but, sorry, I gave it a 3.5, I believe. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 3.5. But it's one that there are elements, and the reason for that difference, again, that distinction is always comes down to, do I have a twinge of wanting to play it more? And I do have that twinge with the Hunters. The Hunters AD gave me some very good things as far as the world building, as far as the general combat mechanisms, but it bogged it down in a lot of other areas that, to me, didn't make it stand out in a very crowded space. I've been diving into a lot of campaign games recently to really try to go through the ones in my collection and see which ones are and aren't for me as I continue to dive into. I'm heavily through Tarnaris. I've started Massive Darkness, the campaign, and all of that. I've been going through, I've started Isofarian, I've been doing Frosthaven, I have all these giant Oathsworn, I have all these big giant campaign games I'm in the middle of going through, and I love them, I adore them. In fact, all those 5 games I just mentioned are going to be in a full campaign roundup video that I'm doing shortly. But I've also tried a bunch that weren't for me. Alter Quest wasn't for me. It just wasn't. And then Hunter's AD is a good game that, in a world without more campaign games, I'd rate it higher. But as it stands, I have that twinge that I want to play it more, but I'm not going to. It is what it is. It's not holding my attention quite as much. A 3.5, a good game, very promising. I will say, I'm still compelled by the new GameFound campaign. They seem to have addressed a lot of the feedback from the first one. A game that was already well rated, they addressed a lot of the feedback. I'm not going to back it because I'm being responsible with my money nowadays, a bit more responsible, as I realize how many unplayed games I have and I have to go through, but I am definitely compelled to back it. Then on Sunday we had, speaking of ratings, we had a conversation around ratings on BoardGameGeek. This is just a conversation around the BoardGameGeek stance of ratings, both an explanatory aspect of how they work and how it's half popularity contest and half good game, but then also a conversation around how they don't really adjust the ratings in any way, shape, and form, no matter what, except for the one time they do. And it's overall a conversation, not really a critique on BGG, just an observational conversation around their ratings, some of the weaknesses in them, and the practical reality is you'll never make everyone happy, and it is what it is. On Monday, we had a to-back or not to back. Very short week, just like last week. I don't know if next week, I think next week is I think this next week's video is a bit more busy as far as how many campaigns there are to go over. On Tuesday, we had a review for Ancient Knowledge. I give that a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy Ancient Knowledge. There's a lot of card comboing as you go through the game, different ways to build out your tableau. It has a lot of powers and abilities, very similar to Innovation in the feel that it gives. I like Ancient Knowledge and highly recommend it. We have Tuesday, we have the 12x12 review of Sprawlopolis, going into all the Sprawlopolis games. We have Sprawlopolis, Agropolis, Naturopolis, the ways they combine with Combopolis and Ultimapolis, and then the expansions for all the games, talking about all of them, which ones I play with, which ones I don't, which ways I like combining the games. Overall, I think Sprawlopolis is fantastic. I think Naturopolis is fantastic. Agropolis is a drop lower for me, and and then each of the individual expansions and which ones I like playing with and which ones I don't, but a lot of thoughts around the Sprawlopolis ecosystem. Then later on Tuesday, lastly on Tuesday, we had a review for Evolution A New World. I think it's called Evolution A New World, or Evolution Strange Worlds, Evolution, I keep forgetting the title. The new Evolution game. Do I have on the shelf? I don't. The new Evolution game, whatever it's called, the new version, the slightly alien life form kind of one. I like it. I like the Evolution series in general, from North Star, from before North Star. I've played different variations of it. I've played Oceans, I've played Climate, I've played a bunch of these games. I think this new one is some of the better artwork and more streamlined in what it does. I think for all these games, I like them a lot without loving them. That's true of the Evolution New Worlds, if that's what it's called, as well. Then we have Wednesday. Wednesday was a live Q&A with Devin and Meg, the weekly live, going through a started game show that didn't finish this time round, and then a conversation around why we keep buying things that we don't play. Like, why do you buy an expansion for a game that you already haven't played the base game? Why do you buy an expansion when you have the base game but you haven't played the expansion? Why do you buy more content when you have more content that you ever need for that game? It's not a conversation around why do you buy games when you have unplayed games. It's specifically to a game, to that game. Why do you buy that game when you already have unplayed of that game? We do, but just a conversation around why, when we should, when we shouldn't, and when we believe in ourselves, and how much is justification and FOMO and all of that. Later on Wednesday, we had just an unboxing of Disrupt. This was a paid unboxing. I tagged everything appropriately, but yeah, this was a paid unboxing. Devin did that, talking about the game. It's live on Kickstarter. You can check that out. And then lastly, on Wednesday, we had a One Sharp Joe, kind of talking about a bunch of component holders from One Sharp Joe. It's basically just I got a batch of component holders from One Sharp Joe. He's done a lot of stuff on the channel, lots of giveaways, sponsors, things like that. And so I obviously take it with a grain of salt and all that, but this was not a sponsored video. It's just he has done sponsored content, but it's just tons of cool component holders, very cool to check out if you're someone who likes like the Wormwood type stuff, but you want something, you know, different for either price point reasons or just, you know, don't want Wormwood reasons. You know, this is a great alternative that I highly recommend, and there's a discount code in that video too where you can get 20% off those component holders if you are interested in them. Then we have that was Thursday we had a Professor Meg culling. We did one of these before where I had Professor Meg cull her collection, kind of like a games leaving my collection, but more games leaving her collection. And we did another one. This past week. You can check that out. Again, it's another 45 minutes or so of a lot of hard decisions being made around a whole lot of board games, but ending up with a big pile of board games, which I did not think was going to happen when the video started. It started off harsh and it slowly improved as it went on in terms of harsh and improved, I just mean in terms of games actually being culled. It is a culling video after all, but no emotional trauma was done, or at least I don't think emotional trauma was done, and you can check that video out as well. Then Friday we had Where Are They Now for May. It's basically going over the reviews I did last May, talking about the games I played a year ago, and talking about how my opinion has adjusted or changed in that time frame. I don't remember which games were in that video, but Where Are They Now for last May. And lastly we have later on Friday, we had a Steamforged vlog. We had a vlog for Steamforged vlog. In fact, we had that earlier. Forgot that. On Sunday as well. Sunday, we also had a Gama vlog. Forgot to talk about that, but we had that, a vlog of, you know, going through Gama and talking about some of the board games, talking about my experiences there. You can check that out. And lastly, on Friday, we had the Steamforged vlog, going through the Steamforged Iceborne event, you know, trip that we went on, that Devin, Meg, myself went on, a bunch of other content creators and whatnot. You can check that out as well. Which means today I have a few things going up. I have a Disrupt preview going up from Devin. Again, this is paid content. You can check that out. Talking about Disrupt the game, giving a bit more of an overview and showing you all, you know, how the game plays and all that stuff. And then we had a review for Turing Machine going up later today as well. You can check that out. That's me reviewing Turing Machine and giving my thoughts on that. Which brings us to the next week. Next week we're going to have a few things. We're going to have a video talking about the state of crowdfunding. Just, you know, things going on and companies collapsing and closing, and is it safe to back things anymore? That kind of conversation. You can check that going up probably Sunday. And then also later in the week we're going to have 13 great gateway games. Me going over just, I don't know why 13, just because, but we're going to do another great gateway game video. I haven't done one of these in a while, and so I wanted to talk about it, and so we are indeed talking about it later this week. Which brings us lastly to the games on the table. These, as usual, are the games that I hope to be playing this week. We have a bunch of them. We have Rallyman Dirt, which I hope to be playing really, really soon. I actually have the rule books like open in front of me. I'm going through it. Things are happening. Rallyman Dirt's going to be hopefully happening soon. We have Glom, which I've actually just played, but we'll be diving into some more. This is a fun little one. It's a very, very interesting, very innovative. It's kind of like, it's a word game. You have to like redo a phrase and then have a bunch of rules around how you have to redo that phrase. Very interesting. I don't know if it has longevity. It's the kind of party game. Well, we'll talk about it. It's just a game I hope to be playing more. That's all. Then we have Unarm. I hope to be diving into this one, continuing all the solo modes for this one. Unarm has a bunch of modules. I've never finished all those modules. I think I've played like the first 4 or 5 of them. I want to finish through all those modules and then do a full review of the game. Arguably, I call it 12 by 12. I think I actually would be up to 12 plays in this one by this year. And then lastly, we have Cascadia. Cascadia is another one that is in my 12 by 12 challenge. It's one that I'm playing both multiplayer and solo, and I want to dive into a bit more. I want to play the one aspect of the game I haven't played yet is I've played the solo mode extensively and I will be playing it more. I played the multiplayer extensively and I will be playing it more. But the one thing I haven't done yet is the multiplayer mode with specific challenges on top of it. The specific things you can put in play as far as different challenges you can have players win with that challenge. You do this. You have an area that's at least 8 tiles big. Stuff like that. Different things, different ways to win. I want to throw that into the mix and see how that affects or alters my experience. They have a little checkmark system. They have it in a lot of their games. I'll be trying that out, but I hope to be diving into that as well. And with that, that's going to be your week in review. That's everything we have. I hope you enjoy your week. I hope you have a good time. I hope you're playing great games. And as always, I hope you have a good one.